This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Karnataka Assembly election results. The participants are Dr. A. Surya Prakash and K.V. Prasad, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist.
The Congress posted a decisive victory in Karnataka Assembly elections, winning 136 seats out of 224 seats and is all set to form the government in the southern state on its own. The ruling BJP could win 65 seats and the Janata Dal S scored electoral victory on 19 seats. Congress will not have to hand over chief ministership to a junior partner in a silver platter this time. In poll showdown, both the Congress and BJP are considered equals in Karnataka. In the high-stakes battle over several weeks, both the Congress and the BJP were engaged in a fierce fight, roping in their star campaigners. Several issues were raised during the campaign.
Dr. Surya Prakash, if we look at the results from Karnataka Assembly elections, Congress has raced ahead and BJP has suffered defeat in Karnataka Assembly elections. And as per exit polls predictions, which we had seen, 9-10 exit polls, out of them, nearly 2-3 were projecting hung assembly and some of them were projecting clean victory by the Congress. Initially, how do you see these results?
First of all, I must say that the malice as far as the Karnataka BJP and Karnataka BJP government was concerned was quite obvious 6, 8, 10 months ago. One, the Congress had a fantastic campaign against the Bommai government saying it's a 40% Sarkara because some contractors association president made it public that that is the kind of bribe that ministers demand in that government. This was known 6, 8 months ago. Second, the Congress brought out a poster saying Pay CM with that QR code showing the Chief Minister's face. From a political point of view, I'll say this was a remarkable campaign against a political opponent. But unfortunately, the BJP leadership did not step in to take some corrective action. In my view, several ministers ought to have been sacked. There ought to have been a rejig and so many other things had to be done to convince people that the party leadership is taking these things seriously. But nothing was done.
Dr. Prakash, but this was obviously a very high-stakes battle where we saw Prime Minister Modi himself taking on the burden of campaigning in the last couple of legs and holding road shows. With his oratorical skills, he tried to tilt the scales in favor of the party. But do you think it was too much on shoulders of only Prime Minister?
Actually, you have preempted me. That is the point which I was trying to make. These people in the state, it was one of the most incompetent governments. Have you ever heard of a Karnataka minister who functioned efficiently, either the Home Minister or the Water Resources Minister or the Power Minister or anybody? Did you ever hear anything good of that government? So what happened was, the party said, no, don't worry, Modi ji will come and somehow he will rescue us, he will pull us out of this rut. There is only so much that the Prime Minister can do. And from 1983, I want to tell you, I have been looking at election data over the last 40 years. Let me tell you, since the 1980s, the people have been making a clear distinction between state elections and national elections. For example, 1983, Karnataka elected a coalition government headed by Ramakrishna Hegde. December 1984, the Congress swept the Lok Sabha elections after Indira Gandhi's assassination. Hegde resigned. 3 months later, in March 85, people gave Ramakrishna Hegde some 135 seats in the assembly and gave him a clear majority. So, they were able to make that distinction between national government and state government. Since then, you have always found this in state after state. There is only so much that a Prime Minister can do if the state government, if the state party is so weak and so incompetent. I am very disappointed that the party did not step in to take corrective. And it was a very important state for Bharatiya Janata Party. It is the only state in the south that they are in power. It's a fantastic state. Its contribution towards India's exports is probably one of the highest, and so many advantages that you have. So that is one. The other thing I must say, we must give credit where it is due. The Congress ran a fantastic political electoral campaign. Plus, they have offered 5 guarantees. What those guarantees will do to the state exchequer is another story. We should not talk about it today. Let them celebrate their victory today.
Prasad, as Dr. Surya Prakash was pointing out, it was probably too much on Prime Minister's plate alone. The party did not step in. That was his analysis. The minister should have been sacked. Some drastic measures should have been taken to send an indication to the people that the party is looking at all such allegations.
I think, Vinay, if you remember this
very seriously.
The issue which Surya Prakash ji raised was on which allegation was made leveled against the minister, and there was the inquiry and they said there was nothing of that sort, so he was given a clean sheet even though that person was not granted ticket. I think somewhere down the line they misread the people's mood. Not just misread, they grossly misread the people's mood. And you're right to say Prime Minister stepped in, but there's so much one can pull when the ship itself is in a difficult position. Dr. Surya Prakash, very early on in this election in Karnataka in particular, we saw a new controversy erupt over the Nandini milk versus Amul milk. At that point of time, there was some effort to say, no, this is all okay, it's very... But do you think the Congress was quick to tap on such perceptual issues, and the BJP obviously was late in reacting or was not able to grasp the gravity of the narrative was being changed?
Yes, absolutely. Because Nandini in the whole old Mysore area, all those dairy farmers, their milk comes into the Nandini dairy. And Congress just turned that into a local versus, and Amul is from Gujarat, but for Karnataka log, they will see it as a northern dairy coming and trying to gobble up. This was not the case. The fact is that for several years, Nandini milk is being supplied to Amul to make ice cream and so many other things. The MD of Amul was explaining that. But यही मैं कह रहा हूँ, ये perception management कहाँ था BJP का? On issue after issue, I found them floundering. They were unable to address these issues. They were getting trapped in these issues.
But Surya Prakash ji, if we look at some of the silly mistakes which Congress made during the campaign, like Mallikarjun Kharge described Prime Minister as a poisonous snake. Then he retracted his statement. But Prime Minister was very quick to latch on to that and said that snakes are around Lord Shiva's neck also. And Prime Minister Modi is known to turn around on such anecdotal campaigns, bits. Like if you see in the Lok Sabha elections 2019, he said, "Main bhi chaukidar," and I am protecting the public fund of India. And it just managed to turn around the perception of which you were talking about. So here also the snake analogy was given. Then there was another silly mistake which Kharge's son made. And they seemed, to be on the back foot. Then this Bajrang Bali controversy erupted. And Prime Minister was very quick to latch on to that also and appeal to the people to, say Jai Bajrang Bali and press the button of Lotus. So it seemed that, somewhere Congress was, for very silly reasons, it would give away its campaign, which was so remarkable politically. But it didn't seem to, work wholeheartedly for the BJP.
No, that is true. It happens in every election. Sometimes somebody will say something and there's a reaction and all that. On this Bajrang Bali thing, Congress really got into a panic and all of them started going to Hanuman temples the next day and all that happened. But I'm telling you, in terms of their whole campaign strategy, it was largely left to the state leaders of the party, and they campaigned in Kannada, which is the language of the state. Now what happens, whether it is BJP or Congress, national leaders, they largely campaign in Hindi or sometimes in English, and the local leaders, they campaign in Kannada. That is the advantage that Siddaramaiah and Shiv Kumar had, whereas as far as BJP leaders are concerned, it was left entirely to Yediyurappa ji and some others to carry that load as far as the local leadership was concerned. Obviously, it was not enough.
And this time we also saw a lot of defections crossing over from one party to another. Some notable names you would also know, like Jagdish Shettar, who left BJP to join Congress. Similarly, large scale of crossing over of political aspirants for assembly tickets we saw in Karnataka on a rather large scale. So how do you think that was affecting the political environment?
If you look at the results today, I'm quite shocked by what is happening in Bombay, Karnataka, which is the Lingayat belt. Hyderabad, Karnataka is the Lingayat belt. There the Congress way ahead of Bharatiya Janata Party, which means that the Congress, apart from getting the votes of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, Muslims, Christians and so on, they have got the OBC vote because of Siddaramaiah, and they have got a good share of the Lingayat vote and the Vakilga vote. So, It's a complete menu as far as Congress is concerned. They have got votes across the caste, across the region. So this whole BJP strategy as far as the Lingayats were concerned and the Lingayat belt was concerned, something has gone radically wrong there.
But the Surya Prakashji, if we stretch this discussion slightly ahead, this was a very significant and major victory for Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. First, I think the major victory after he took over as President of the All India Congress Committee. Himachal was very close. We saw that. But Karnataka is a bigger state, and this is a state where BJP had showcased its model of governance. Now, if we stretch it ahead, we will see another high-stakes battle coming to northern part of India, Rajasthan, then later Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh later this year. So, how do you think Congress will be able to, cope up in other parts of the state after having won Karnataka?
Having watched elections in the country for over the last 30-35 years, no two states think in the same manner. And no assembly election result can be just extrapolated to Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha elections we think differently in our voting. Assembly elections we think differently. Secondly, the voters of Karnataka will think differently. Voters of Rajasthan will think differently. Even neighboring states, when you take, for example, Tamil Nadu is a DMK ruled state. Karnataka is now a Congress-ruled state. There you have communists in Kerala and so on and so forth. India, it is a kaleidoscope of political parties. So, every state votes differently, thinks differently. In Rajasthan, Congress will be up against the wall because it's a divided house and anti-incumbency will be there. So also Chhattisgarh, they have been in power last 5 years. So it's going to be a different story. In Madhya Pradesh, the Bharatiya Janata Party is in power. And they will have to answer questions about how they have performed there. So, this one rule will not fit all states. Today, Congress has won Karnataka, it must celebrate. From tomorrow, it will have to start thinking as to what is its future in Rajasthan and so on.
Prasad, Karnataka also remains the first state in southern India where BJP showcased its model of governance when it backed Karnataka. BJP was very keen to extend this experiment to other parts of southern India, whether it is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana will also vote shortly, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. A lot of concerted efforts BJP is making to gain foothold in Kerala. So where do you think this southern march of BJP will be affected by this result in Karnataka?
Well, I think largely it will have an implication or impact in the terms of the morale of the party workers. That's where it starts, because eventually a party runs on its soldiers, and if the soldiers start to lose heart. And secondly, remember, as no state thinks alike, no state looks alike. Southern India has certain parameters in terms of development indices and all that is separate. But then the issues are different, the language is different. And Karnataka, of course, was always considered to be the gateway for the BJP to take its march into the southern part of India. But even in Karnataka, if you notice, from the 90s when it has been at it, BJP has never ever won a majority on its own, and it could only form government either in coalition or as it happened last time, little later. So end of the day, BJP has been halted beyond the point it could not come to the ascendancy where you talked about it. Neither the kind of politics or the kind of narrative it had built did not work in. But to say that it will not work in Telangana, it doesn't apply that way. You can't apply it's not one size fits all.
All eyes are now on the grand old party scheduled a crucial meeting. Who will be the Chief Minister of Karnataka? That is the question uppermost in everybody's mind. The Congress will have to decide quickly, and the BJP will need to introspect and analyze the factors behind its loss in its sole southern citadel. Expectations of the people from the Congress will be high, and they will be keenly and minutely scrutinizing the new government's performance on several fronts. Thank you, Dr. Surya Prakash and Mr. Prasad, for this discussion. Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on Karnataka Assembly election results. The participants were Dr. A. Surya Prakash and K.V. Prasad, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.